So today something unthinkable happened. Amazon and Google Cloud, two of the fiercest rivals in tech history, just teamed up. Yes, you heard that right. Amazon and Google Cloud on the same side to speed up global AI workloads and rebuild the future of multi-cloud. Look, this is the biggest cloud alliance of the decade, and the timing is not a coincidence at all. Because barely a month ago, Amazon's Web Services AWS suffered one of its worst outages ever, knocking out Snapchat, Reddit and thousands of apps, costing US companies up to $650 million on a single day. And tonight on Front Page by AIM TV, we break down why Amazon and Google suddenly need each other and what this means for the AI race and what exclusives we're bringing you directly from AWS reInvent event in Las Vegas, United States. But before we do all of that, make sure to like, share and subscribe to AIM Network. So for the first time, AWS Interconnect Multicloud has joined forces with Google Cloud's cross-cloud interconnect. What does that mean? So for the first time ever, enterprises can create private, high-speed, dedicated pipelines between Amazon's VPCs and Google Cloud environments in minutes and not weeks. Because until now, multi-cloud meant messy fiber cables, manual routing, physical provisioning and painful wait times. Today, you have click, connect and done. That's basically it. AWS VP Robert Kennedy calls it a fundamental shift in multi-cloud connectivity. Google Cloud's Rob Enns says this is the start of a more open and a more connected cloud ecosystem. Salesforce is already using it and more enterprise giants will of course follow. And yes, this directly supports AI workloads which now need massive distributed cross-cloud bandwidth. And look, the timing is brutal and brilliant because as mentioned earlier on October 20th, the AWS outage reminded the world that the cloud, the backbone of the AI age, is still working on a single point of failure. We had Snapchat that was down, Reddit was down, financial apps were down, IoT networks all blinking out for help, and for the first time, CEOs started asking out loud, should our AI stack just depend on a single cloud? And the question created an existential pressure point that AI workloads need availability, redundancy, and parallel compute across regions and providers. So AWS and Google did the unthinkable. They picked interoperability over rivalry because in the AI era, outages are too expensive, speed is too critical, and compute is too scarce to fight all of it alone. The alliance is a multi-cloud weapon, and it's a new industry expectation that the future of cloud isn't single cloud, it's shared infrastructure. And all of this is happening while Alphabet, Microsoft and Google each pour billions into new data centers. Because AI workloads are exploding in size and complexity, enterprise customers now demand vendor neutrality, open standards and no lock-in. And AWS still leads the industry with $33 billion in Q3 revenue. That's more than double of Google Cloud's $15.16 billion revenue. But the fastest growing segment in cloud today is cross-cloud AI workloads and not single cloud deployments. And this move is a partnership of necessity and it won't be the last for sure. Now when two hyperscalers like AWS and Google Cloud suddenly unite, the obvious question is, where does this leave Oracle? Because while AWS and Google Cloud are engineering the fastest cross-cloud AI network ever built, Oracle has also quietly taken multi-cloud in a completely different and an arguably more disruptive direction. Because at the Oracle AI World event this year, the company launched something no hyperscaler has dared to offer, which is Multicloud Universal Credits. It's a single currency that lets enterprises run AI database workloads across AWS, Azure, Google Cloud and OCI with full commercial portability. And you know what? This solves multi-cloud's biggest unsolved problem, the cost and lock-in, not the connectivity. Maria Colgan, Oracle's VP for AI and mission critical data, simply put that universal credits give customers the freedom to run workloads wherever their data lives without worrying about movement costs or cloud specific limits. So where AWS Google Cloud Platform focuses on high-speed technical interconnects, Oracle is offering financial and operational freedom at the enterprise layer, thereby letting developers and customers access Oracle database and AI services on any cloud without ingress penalties or proprietary constraints. And also Oracle doubled down with Database 26 AI, embedding vectors, RAG, graph and real-time AI directly into a transaction engine. It's a sharp contrast to hyperscalers who run AI mostly in analytics layers. So while AWS and Google are building the AI superhighway of sorts, Oracle is positioning itself as the trusted data and reasoning layer that sits above all clouds, offering portability, compliance and access to mission critical private data that hyperscalers cannot replicate, and this involves different strategies and different modes, and all together they signal one truth, that multi-cloud is the architecture of the AI era. Look, if AWS and Google Cloud just shocked the world by joining forces, the natural follow-up is also, does Microsoft Azure become the next piece of this multi-cloud puzzle? Well, let us know what you think in the comments below. And while you're at it, here's the interesting part. Azure is already halfway there, because while AWS and Google Cloud just opened the door for cross-cloud cooperation, Microsoft has also quietly moved the goalposts in a completely different direction, which is a planet-scale AI compute. Because earlier this year, Microsoft unveiled the world's first AI Superfactory, Fairwater. It's a system that turns multiple data centers separated by hundreds of miles into one unified AI supercomputer. It's not a cloud region, not a cluster. It's a single virtual machine stretched across geographies. You have two sites, Wisconsin and Atlanta, now operate as one elastic organism with hundreds of thousands of NVIDIA Blackwell GPUs and 12,000 miles of new AI fiber, 5+ million optical connections and 800 gigabytes per second GPU to GPU bandwidth, and of course a closed loop cooling with near zero water waste. This is model parallelism at the continental scale, built for trillion parameter models, synthetic data regimes and next gen agentic AI. Satya Nadella described it as a fungible global fleet where any workload can run anywhere with maximum performance. So while AWS and Google are solving multi-cloud networking, Microsoft is solving something more fundamental, which is the physics limits of AI training itself. So if a future of multi-cloud standard emerges, Microsoft has the strongest incentive and the infrastructure to join, because Azure already manages the third-party clouds through its Azure Arc, and it's also the home to OpenAI's largest training jobs. And remember, Fairwater is designed to scale across states and eventually continents. So what Microsoft needs is interoperable networks to feed its global AI fleet. And that means the real question is whether Microsoft joins multi-cloud interoperability wave. It's when it decides to do so and on whose terms. Because the moment Microsoft plugs in its AI Superfactory into the open multi-cloud standard, the competitive landscape just changes overnight. Because this mega announcement dropped during Amazon's AWS reInvent 2025 event, which is the company's biggest AI and cloud event of the year. And here's what you need to expect, because agentic AI is everywhere, and Amazon's Connect is already rolling out agentic self-service, agentic assistance and multimodal voice agents powered by the Novasonic model, DeepGram and 11 Labs. So we can expect deeper integrations across SageMaker, Bedrock and Amazon's developer stack. And of course, we can also expect AI infrastructure expansions across more regions, more sovereign cloud offerings and more specialized hardware for AI agentic workloads, and possible new disclosures on the Trinium 2 and Inferentia roadmaps, and multi-cloud as a first-class citizen. Because remember, today's AWS-Google alliance is likely just the beginning. So let's all watch out for new interoperability standards, new networking APIs, more third-party clouds joining the open spec on GitHub. And remember, real-time AI, speech AI and autonomous contact centers powered by DeepGram and Amazon Connect is already a huge setup. So it's fair to expect that more moves can blur the line between software automation and full AI agents. And the good news is that we're on ground at the AWS reInvent 2025 in Las Vegas. Our AM network crew Sanjana Gupta will bring you exclusive interviews with AWS partners and enterprise adopters. Of course, with all the breaking news from keynote halls, agentic AI demos, and a full no fluff breakdown of how this AWS Google alliance reshapes the AI ecosystem. So if you want the truth behind the cloud wars, stay tuned. And that, folks, wraps up the front page for tonight. Make sure you like, share and subscribe to our channel, and always remember to think AI and think AIM. But before you tune out, we have an exclusive debunked episode with me and my fellow journalist Mohit Pandey. So stay tuned for that as we discuss on all things about Indian IT, AI and where these vibe coding software tools are headed. So stay tuned on EM Network, and we're going to be back after a short break.